19 Social Justice Awards ceremony. On behalf of our Mayor Box, members of our City Council, City Manager Van Beek, and our Human Relations Commission, I extend the warmest welcome to you. My name is Esther Fafelsky, and I have the privilege to serve the residents of Holland as the Human Relations Coordinator. The City of Holland's Human Relations Commission is a commission that I serve and I support. And they exist to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in housing, education, employment, and public services. The Commission advocates for all with special care to those underserved communities. We do this through research, advocacy, education, mediation, and empowerment. Our vision for the city is to have a place where all residents are honored and empowered to become productive members of the community, unhindered by bias, misunderstanding, and conflict. This very much aligns with the City of Holland's mission to maximize livability. At this moment, I'd like to introduce our Human Relations Commissioners, and I'd like Dr. Vicki Lynn Holmes, our chair, to step here. Michelle Slickers, who is the co-chair. You can come up. I was like, where is she? Commissioners Kiefer Sestrick, Catherine Ristola Bass, if you're here, please step up. Sherry Smith, Ron Price is not here today, and Michelle Bakewell is not here today, and Virginia Greenlee is not here today. But I wanted to make sure that you knew who our commission is. I also would like to recognize our City Council liaison, which is Council Member Dave Hoekstra. And I think he will, oh, he's, I'm like, where is he? So Dave is here today. I want to take a special moment to recognize our former City Council liaison, Wayne Klomperens. When I came to the city, Wayne was the City Council liaison. And he helped me through so many times in my role when I was uncertain or if we had some conflicts. He was always very helpful to me, and I have to say he was just a blessing to the whole commission. I want to recognize him. He's not here tonight, but truly someone that I appreciate and value and honor the work that he's done in our community. The Social Justice Awards were created in 1998 to recognize members of the community and organizations who are making an impact through their advocacy or have shown great courage in advocating for underserved communities. This year, the Social Justice Award winners are both individuals and organizations. Today, we're going to be recognizing a very special young lady, Black River student, Hannah Huggett. She's been advocating for her school since she was in 6th grade. I imagine that we'll see Hannah Huggett, if she remains here in Holland, she'll be on City Council one day. We'll also be recognizing two organizations, two individuals who have worked very hard in our community to serve the homeless. By providing showers, an opportunity, a place for them to have showers. We're going to be recognizing Angela Maxwell, who is with Community Action House, and Luann Stanley Hook, who is a member of First United Methodist Church. These two individuals came together and have done something far greater than they could have done independently. I'm really proud of the fact that they were able to merge their interests and further serve the homeless community in a bigger and better way. Also, in our education category, we are going to be recognizing the Alternative Suspension Accountability Program at Escape Ministries. Under the leadership of Pastor Willie Watt and the dedication of mentors, and I'm going to mention a couple of names, but I know I'm not going to capture everyone. Under the dedication of mentors like Christina Sage, Heidi Riley, AJ Westendorp, and all of the ASP program mentors, Willie is making a difference through ASAP in the community. He is supporting students at critical junctures of their life. Um, I always like to think that without mentors, a lot of us wouldn't be doing some of the things, great work that we're doing today. So I know that he's not only working with the community to make sure that the youth get back into school and that they continue to attend school, but he's also offering an opportunity for the youth to have a mentor walk alongside them and get them back into school. In the community government relations area, we're going to be recognizing Johanna Jenkins-Lays, who is someone that I've known for a very long time through her work at Lakeshore Ethnic Diversity Alliance, and later on through her work at Good Samaritan Ministries. And most recently, Johanna was named just this week as the Executive Director of Immigration Lighthouse Advocates. Johanna also serves on the Lakeshore Nonprofit Alliance, and she just has a heart for community. Believe it or not, she also served on the International Relations Commission, so I have to say she's a very busy lady doing good work. Finally, I'd like to say that we will be recognizing a very special person tonight for her work in the community. She will be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Human Relations Commission. She has demonstrated passion for diversity, equity, and inclusion decades before that was a common framework. There was a common framework around DEI initiatives. She's worked tirelessly in our community through cultural events, very active in cultural events and supporting the Hispanic community. Very early, she is, I would say, the earliest advocate in this community to work with our healthcare community to advocate for our Hispanic community. And just really has paid close attention to the need for cultural awareness and how we serve many of our ethnic communities. She even started a radio station in her spare time, which recently had a Latina Alegría. And they are part of the WHTC, the Van radio station, and they have their show on Sunday night. And she's just done so many things. I would be here forever talking about everything that Lupita's done, but she is a remarkable woman, and I will say that as a young girl, I remember being in circles, different circles where her name would come up. I never knew who she was until I started working for the city, and I understand now why her name would come up in the circles that my family was in. We live in a very diverse, divisive time right now. We're a diverse community. We're living in divisive times, both on the national landscape, and sometimes it spills over into the local area. I know and I believe that Holland, Michigan can and will rise above this. I know we'll be focusing on those initiatives that build strong communities. I hope that our country will always keep the Martin Luther King Day a national holiday. It represents liberation, but also a hope for a better tomorrow. Oftentimes people will say, why are you living in the past? Why do you keep bringing these things up over and over? I always have admired our Jewish community, who never lets the light blow out on the remembrance of the Shoah. I believe that humanity has great capacity to harm each other, and that is precisely why we need to always remember what's been done so that we don't repeat our history. So I just want to say that it's important. The Martin Luther King holiday is an important holiday. Social justice awards are important because they remind us that we can all be better. I would ask that 2020 be a year that you are mindful of systems and structures that exist in the spaces that you are in. I hope that you will look for ways to bring different people to the table, not the same people over and over again, because we will continue to get the same outcomes. And I see that our community is benefiting a great deal by trying to be more inclusive. I would encourage you to engage in your government wherever you live. Try to be a part of that. You have great capacity to impact the community that you live in. Don't be shy. I know it's a little extra work sometimes, but be engaged. And by the way, we do have some openings on our boards and commissions, and we'd invite you to
Like that segue?
For those of you who sit at tables where you have great power, I would encourage you to invite others that are not normally at the table. Engage those smaller voices. If you are ever in a place where you can bestow a blessing to someone who does not have the resources or a voice, use that power and resource abundantly. With that, I am going to stop talking, and we'll get started with our Social Justice Awards. First individuals I'd like to invite are Wyatt Onk, the chair of the Holland Youth Advisory Core Council, and Diamante Baltazar, the co-chair. And they are going to be making a presentation to the youth winner, social justice winner. So I'm going to ask you to come up here by the...
Good evening. My name is Wyatt Onk.
And I'm Diamante Balcazar. We are members of the Holland Youth Advisory Council, also known as HIAC. Through HIAC, students have the opportunity to have a voice in the city's decisions, get some real-world experience, and learn about what makes Holland work, or what I like to say, how the sausage is made. For the past 16 years, HIAC has presented the Youth Social Justice Award to a high school student who is passionate about social justice and has turned their passion into action.
The 2019 Youth Social Justice Award winner is a student at Black River High School. She started her service in the 6th grade as part of the Black River Green Team. For the past 3 years, she's volunteered for the 20 Liters Walk for Water, a fundraiser which provides water filters for families in Rwanda. In the 7th grade, she made 378 ribbons for the Orlando Ribbon Project to create a symbol of unity for the LGBT community. She also volunteered for pop can drives for the New Life Center and Children's Home in Dehradun, India, and served as an English tutor for an Afghani family who moved to Holland.
As an 8th grader, she took the initiative to organize the recycling efforts at the Tulip Time Run last spring, which diverted 434 pounds of recyclable materials from the local landfill and spoke out against gun violence at the 2018 March for Our Lives rally. As a 9th grader, she worked with the Black River School Board and Republic Services to organize a new trash and composting program at her school. She organized the 2019 Holland Climate Rally and participated as a panel member for the Interfaith Gun Violence Reduction Symposium in Saugatuck.
This is not a complete list of all the things she's accomplished. It would take much too long to list them all. It's no wonder that the 2019 Youth Social Justice Award winner received 4 separate nominations. Erin Thellenwood, one of her nominators, said, "We live in an era where frustration with national public figures is common. When people complain about the ineffectiveness of public leaders across the spectrum, I look at someone like Hannah and say we're focusing on the wrong leaders. It is for these reasons that I believe Hannah embodies the drive, passion, and ability to organize and motivate others one would expect from a social justice advocate. We couldn't agree more. On behalf of the Holland Youth Advisory Council, it is my honor to present to Hannah Huggett the 2019 Youth Social Justice Award and thank her for her commitment to social justice." Hannah, will you please come forward?
I think she definitely is spurring us on to love and good works. But quite an accomplishment. All right. The first two that we're recognizing today, Angela Maxwell and First United Methodist Church Community. I don't know if you want to come up as I speak about you. They're like, no. So, yes, come on, come on. Very good. Okay, so early in the year, Angela Maxwell, homeless outreach specialist at Community Action House, developed and launched a program with community partners at the First United Methodist Church. It is called Refresh, Hygiene and Hope. The free program is a shower, mail, and resource connection that was designed based on requests from Angela's houseless clients themselves and has become a focal point of community for this marginalized population, as well as a place where relationships can drive connections to mainstream services. The program aims to be a safe place for respite and provide hot showers where all are welcome. As Angela Maxwell notes on their website, again and again, the individuals we're connecting with share the value and difficulty of maintaining hygiene. The need for showers exists. We're looking forward to building trust in this service for those that will most benefit from it. The reality is that no one wants to feel badly about their appearance or condition, and through this program, that reality can begin to change for the better. We applaud your work and the collaboration. So, First United. Yes, you do.
Thank you. I'm not Angela, I'm Luann from First United Methodist Church. And I just wanted to point out that there's a lot of our volunteers who serve in this program weekly, some of them twice a week, and who many of them have been on the kind of the ground floor in this whole program, planning it and implementing it. It is not without them or without the many people who have donated supplies in our community and in our church, and also funds that this thing has gotten off the ground. So thank you. This is for all of you.
All I want to add to that is I really want to thank all our patrons of the program, because they really are our greatest advocates and greatest supporters, and without them, it would not be the success it is.
And this is Escape Ministries. Come on up. Very good. So, Escape Ministries Alternative Suspension Accountability Program, ASAP, I love that, Education Award. Students who are suspended or expelled from school are at a critical juncture in their lives. Disproportionately represented by students of color, they are often left at home with no direction, their future prospects bleak. Escape Ministries, ASAP, provides such students with a safe and nourishing environment, helping them keep up with their curriculum so they can get back into their original schools, and pushes them to graduation. This past year, under the leadership of Pastor Willie Watts and the dedication of mentors like Christina Sage, the ASAP program has helped more than 60 kids return to school in a better place academically, emotionally, and relationally. So I want to thank you.
Since in 11 years, Escape has taken in over 600 kids through the ASAP program. Understanding the pipeline from school to prison, we needed to keep our kids off the streets. When a kid gets expelled or suspended, they're in the street, they're at home, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing it. So I'm not going to speak anymore. I want you to honestly hear from the other side, from a parent, Ms. Landis.
The dark side. It's actually a very bright side, thanks to Escape. I have to ask, have you guys ever made a mistake? use poor judgment. I know I have a lot. And if you're like me, the thought of being labeled that and judged for a bad decision is just totally unfair, especially once you've made amends for your your wrongdoing. When my teenage son was suspended from West Ottawa High School, he was presented with an opportunity to continue schooling through Escape Ministries and reapply to West Ottawa at a later date if he chose. This news came with lots of fear. We were extremely disappointed with this news, as you can imagine. And this couldn't possibly be good. What was Escape anyway? I mean, I'd never really even heard of it. What do they do? Who are these people? And I just knew now more than ever that he was less likely to complete his schooling and be able to move forward without this label, following him around for the rest of his life, because he was really, really hurting. And his already deteriorating self-esteem continued to plummet. These were some very painful lessons he just wasn't emotionally equipped to be able to handle. Little did we know that attending Escape Ministries was going to be the biggest gift to come from this difficult journey, nor did we have a clue what a godsend this would be for us. Escape Ministries, the programs, these people here, my goodness, the entire staff, they give selflessly to this community because they know every human makes mistakes and that everybody deserves a chance to move forward in acceptance and in love. That is the gift they gave to my son. Whew, his self-esteem not only continues to improve, and it did during the program immensely. Oh, golly, he was encouraged to discover that, but also who he is, not who he was labeled to be. Pastor Willie, Christina, AJ, Heidi, all you guys, this amazing entire staff at Escape, they certainly deserve this award for the gifts they've provided to our community. You just don't know what a gift it is until you know what a gift it is. And I'm merely just one parent locally here of so many young people that have experienced their unconditional love and support. My son is 17 and a half. He never did apply to return to West Ottawa. But because of this program and these amazing folks, he not only graduated early, he graduated in December, he just began full-time at GRCC this week. I know. He plans to pursue his passion and earn a bachelor's degree in exercise science so he can help others achieve their fitness goals. In closing, I just want to say that Escape Ministries has altered definitely the trajectory of my son's life without a doubt. And I thank God every day for this program, and nobody should feel they're labeled by a poor choice, and certainly no child should be. Our kids today are faced with numerous and different challenges than we ever were. I do believe that. I see it, and Escape definitely understands this. Escape brings to our community a safe space of unconditional love and forgiveness, and equally important, if not even more so, they've created a culture which teaches and honors self-love and self-forgiveness. And let's be honest, couldn't we all use a little help in those areas sometimes in our lives? Thank you very much.
I'm honored to give Johanna Jenkins Lees the award for community relations. Where's Johanna? Yeah. Did I say your name right? Okay, good. In Johanna's prior role as the Director of Faith and Youth Programs at Good Samaritan Ministries, she recruited, trained, and supported AmeriCorps members who mentored at-risk youth in the community. Johanna currently serves as the interim executive director of Lighthouse Immigrant Advocates and also serves on the board of Lakeshore Nonprofit Alliance. Johanna is the co-founder of Women of Color Give, a philanthropy circle helping change the charitable giving landscape by adding more diverse choices to the philanthropy narrative. Johanna's professional and volunteer work serves diverse communities, promotes and empowers people of all color and marginalized communities, and touches the spheres from nonprofit to government to private sector circles. The Human Relations Commission is honored to present you with this award.
Thank you all, and thank you, Holland, for showing up. Holland, Zeeland area, you showed up tonight, and thank you so much for showing up for my counterparts this evening. Esther mentioned earlier that society has a great capacity, humanity has a great capacity to hate and to hurt. But I also believe, and Hannah all the way through, the society has a great capacity to love and to see each other. And that's what I invite you to do tonight, to see each other. When we started Women of Color Give, it was a group of women, and we came across many more who just wanted to be seen for what we were able to, who we are, and that we're around the table, we're here. People keep talking about diversity and inclusion and diverse voices as if we're absent from the room, as if we're absent from these spaces, as if, where can we find them? Where can we find them? We're right here. We're here, and we just want the community to know that we're here and that we have value and that we can be seen, and we see you, we see each other, and we just ask that you see us too and that you see your neighbor too. So that's what I invite you to do, to love and to see. Thank you.
Very important. So we talked earlier, or Esther did rather, about how she knew of Lupita before Lupita knew Esther. And I have a similar story, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I've prepared some remarks, but my goodness, you have an extensive resume. So all of the things that I want to mention would take entirely too long, and I think Esther has told you that. We could be here all night. We could be here into tomorrow, but we have not prepared breakfast for all of you. So I'm going to hit the highlights, and please forgive me for anything that I've missed or, yes. But I'm very excited tonight. Encouraging a cohesive, diverse community through education, advocacy, and celebration. Lupita founded LAUP, Latin Americans United for Progress. When did you do that? I couldn't find the year.
Actually, we started with the Latin American Society and transferred over to
Okay.
LAUP. LAUP is 1975.
Okay, wonderful. So I tried to do this chronologically, so we're starting with 1975. And I should say, this woman came to Michigan at the age of 6 years old, not knowing any English whatsoever. So she had to overcome a lot of adversity. And thus, 1975, she started this Latin Americans United for Progress. Latin American United for Progress hosts the annual Fiesta celebration, which I'm sure you're all aware of. They offer ESL classes, interpretation services, and they provide programs to help students improve their college readiness. In 1969, your actions resulted in the formation of the Community Action House. The Community Action House has gone from providing food and clothing in the early days to now offering life skills training, emergency services, hot meals through a partnership with Western Theological Seminary, a resale shop, and assisting with emergency housing. That is a brief list. It's an entirely inadequate overview of the Community Action House, and if you've ever had anything to do with that organization, you know that they are quite impressive in all they do to help the at-risk members of our community. A couple of days ago, I was telling my mom that I was going to present the Lifetime Achievement to you, and she said, "Oh, I worked with Lupita at Horns Answering Service in the 1970s. So Donna Slickers, you remember? Mom said she had always had the highest regard and respect for you. And she said in the years following that time with you in the 70s, she would always read your articles in the newspaper with great respect and admiration. So my mom wanted to be here this evening to honor you. I first became acquainted with you back when I worked for the Board of Realtors in the late 80s. And you know what I'm going to say. So I worked with a woman named Marie Perales, and Marie was your sidekick / assistant at the radio station, WHTC, or as my note said, WTHS, which is something completely different, or THC rather is what it said. So back in the 80s, I would tune into the radio station and listen. but my Spanish 101 class was not sufficient. I understood absolutely nothing of what was said, but it was fun, and I enjoyed it. Then later, I took Spanish 101 again, still insufficient. Could understand nothing. But a lot of the community still enjoys that program today. And how long has that been going on?
We are starting just started our 56th year.
56 years. Isn't that amazing? In 1995, so we're jumping ahead a little bit, Lupita helped create the Community Health Center, which currently provides, and I spoke with Dr. Duncan today, she said that they currently serve patients about 12,000 visits a year. 12,000, and you helped create that and make it what it is today. Today, you work for another venture that you began called LAR Counseling.
Yes.
And there, Lupita seeks to improve the quality of life for at-risk individuals and families of diverse cultures through mental health services. So tonight we honor and recognize your service and dedication to the community, and in an effort to unite and serve, Lupita demonstrates the value and diversity of many cultures. Her passion and perseverance has strengthened the community, and Lupita, we thank you.
Thank you so much. I am honored. Thank you. Hey, you're cutting into my 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you so much. I am very, very honored and humbled at all of the people here, my family, my friends, co-workers maybe, yes. And they said I only had 2 minutes to say something. She took up my 2 minutes. But I want to thank the Human Relations Commission, on which I was one of the first commissioners to serve on that way back then, about 1968, 69. It's been a journey, but that journey has taught me many, many things. One of the most important taught me is that if you do things alone, you don't accomplish. Unity is important, and it has to be unity that brings us together. So I do want to thank the Commission, Human Relations Commission, for this award. I am humbled to receive it. I want to thank my family, my husband, Tino, who has stood by me for 61 years. My sister-in-laws. That's a big family. When I first went into Tino's family and met them for the first time, I thought I was going crazy. I want to thank my children, because my children, believe it or not, used to attend meetings with me. So they got accustomed, and now they're giving back. I have an officer in the family. My son, Tino Jr., is a police officer with the City of Douglas. My daughter, Lisa, is a teacher for the West Ottawa school systems. My baby works in management for the Myers Company. And my son, Marty, is a computer, I want to call him a computer nerd. I'm sorry, Marty, I love you. But the interesting thing about Marty is where I left off with the Community Health Center, began to work with the Community Health Center to raise funds by putting everything on computers for the raising of the funds. And this past year, they made more money than they ever made before. So my son continues to work and give back to community. My grandchildren are doing basically the same thing, giving back to community, and that's what it's about. I thank them, but most of all, I want to thank the pioneers who worked alongside Tino and me throughout those early years, facing all kinds of adversities, doors shutting in our faces, but we never gave up because we saw the value in working together, and we made it happen. We've come a long way, folks, but we still have a long ways to go. When we say we embrace diversity, it's not about embracing, it's about accepting and welcoming. And for us to be that, we need to begin to respect each other regardless of our race, color, or what language we speak. Because as long as we keep divided, we will never accomplish anything. So thank you so much for giving me this award. It belongs to the people that worked with me, not to me, because without them, I would never have accomplished anything. But most of all, that man sitting right there. Thank you so much.
All right, that ends our Social Justice Awards. I would like to invite everyone to the reception that we're going to be having in the lobby. I would ask that you move out to the lobby as quick as possible because we will be having our city council meeting and we put our city council behind schedule. Oh, yeah. If you received an award, I would ask that you go upstairs to the second floor to get your photos taken.
My watch says it's exactly 6:45 and exactly when we're supposed to be starting the city council meeting. Always running a little bit late today, but for very, very good reason. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and clerk, could you please call the roll?
Byrd. Peters. Garcia.
Here.
Trethewey.
Here.
Arnshorst.
Here.
Corbin. Hoekstra.
Here.
Raymond.
Here.
Mayor Box.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We're going to start the meeting the way that we have for decades, with an opening prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We would ask that if you can and would like to, that you stand and join us. An opening prayer will be done by Council Member Hoekstra.
If you're so inclined, I would invite you to join with me in prayer. Our God, we come to you before this meeting grateful and honored to be here to do the work of the people, to honor you in the demeanor in which we do that. We thank you for this great community, for the people who serve it. We thank you for the folks who were honored tonight in the HRC presentations. Just so grateful that there are folks in this community who are willing and able to step forward to make a difference. And we know that there are so many more beyond who were recognized this evening who do great work, and we appreciate that, and we give thanks for that. Let that also be an awakening to us and a nudge to know that great things can be done, but there is also much more that needs to be done. And so make us aware of that as we go forward. You with us in our deliberations, discussions this evening. Let us treat each other as brothers and sisters, and we just thank you for being here in the midst of this. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is our consent agenda, and this is a number of items that are generally considered to be routine, been previously reviewed by council, and are going to be enacted with one motion, unless someone in the public or a council member would ask for them to be removed from that consent agenda. We'll read through all of the items. If a member of the public has an item that they would like to have be removed, please let us know, and it'll be placed on the agenda in its normal sequence. Those items that are on the agenda that are in bold are non-consent items. And so, Kathy, could you please read the items on the consent agenda for us?
4A, to excuse the absence of Councilmember Byrd. 4B, to approve the minutes of the January 8, 2020 regular meeting. 4C, oaths of office. 4D, transportation, approve budget for Pine Avenue Stormwater Lift Station. 4E, Holland HeartSafe Project, approval of an agency fund agreement with the Community Foundation of the Holland Zeeland area.
Thank you. Any member of the public that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and put onto the regular agenda? Seeing none. Any council member that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and placed onto the regular agenda? Seeing none there either. So could we please call the roll? Or I will accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Motion to accept agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Trethewey. We do have support.
Support.
Support by Mr. Hoekstra. Now would you please call the roll?
Peters. Yes. Garcia.
Yes.
Trethewey.
Yes.
Arnshorst.
Yes.
Corbin. Yes. Hoekstra.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We are on to public comment. In every single meeting, we give the public the opportunity to speak to council. We welcome all of your comments. We would just ask that you limit your comment time to 5 minutes. Each person is allowed to only speak once. Also, please recognize these are comments to council, so there is not discussion or deliberation that takes place during this time. Also, when you come, we'd please ask that you state your name and your address for the record. And please note that just in front of me are 3 lights up on the dais. There's a green green light, there's a yellow light, and there's a red light. If you see the green light, you're doing really well. If you see the yellow light, you've got 1 minute left, so please wrap it up. And when you see the red light, you're done, and we are very strict about that 5-minute rule. So anyone who'd like to come up and speak to council, come right on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Sorensen, and I am the director of Out on the Lakeshore at 451 Columbia Avenue. I've got just 2 things that I wanted to say tonight. First, thank you to all of you for the motion that was passed just last week regarding the non-discrimination ordinance. It really shows to the community that you are placing an interest and an emphasis on really accepting everyone in the community and showing that Holland is interested in looking at those options to move forward and make sure that everyone in the community feels welcome and feels like if they do have any kind of discrimination complaints, that they eventually will be able to come to the city with those complaints. Secondly, I would like to offer my support as the director of Out on the Lakeshore, and the support of my counterparts that have been helping do the research on our end of things, which are Sarah Van Tongeren and Reverend Jen Adams. They both unfortunately could not be here tonight, but they also send their thank you to the council and offer their support as our city attorney and city manager move forward in looking at those options. And we just would like to say that whatever support we can give you, because we've also done the research. I understand that you need to do the research yourselves, but we've done some research and we would love to be another resource for you as you move forward and work towards that March 25th deadline. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Yeah. Anyone else here who would like to speak to council? Please state your name and address for the record.
John Fullenwider, and it's 4764 Wildwood Road, Holland, 49423. Want a phone number? Oh, okay.
No need for that.
Thank you, council members. I met a few of you, and I'm really glad that I was able to be alive to come and see you. I met Mike Trethaway, and I talked with him a while, and Mayor Nathan Bach, and Nikki Ehrenhorst, and Jay Peters. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, these glasses are good. And David Huckstra. Thank you, guys and ladies. Real quick. Green light. Yep. Future warming trend in the climate is like the monsters are at the gate. It's almost on us. It's almost so critical. I just cry about it. And we've got to make the right choices. So under business as usual, wildlife, human habitation, and the economic mainstays like agriculture and tourism, it's going to suffer. The summers are going to get much hotter and drier, and as we're experiencing what that does on the southern hemisphere right now is having their summer, and it's hotter than heck down there, and Australia is paying the price. They didn't get enough rain and so on. So it's about climate change. That's really what I'm here about. I'm asking you to update the community energy plan to be in alignment with the latest research and science, and to adopt a resolution of recognition of the climate emergency accompanied by a call to action by the city. And I know you can do it. We're there to help you. We've got some scientists and we have people who are young and old, and we've watched this thing deteriorate. So thank you very much for giving me the time to do this.
Wonderful. Thank you, John. Good evening. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is April Beatty. I live at 985 Bluebell Drive. And I, too, am here with the Citizens Climate Lobby. So I'm reading a letter that's kind of from the chapter in general, although a bunch of us are here tonight. The Holland Citizens Climate Lobby is one chapter of hundreds across the United States and around the world working toward a livable world. We believe it is time for all elected leaders from the city, state, and national leaders to acknowledge the escalating climate impacts and the threat to our economic stability, health, and safety of our citizens. 97% of climate scientists are convinced that human actions, this is tough to digest for all of us, human actions have warmed the atmosphere and oceans to the point of drastic climate change. A United Nations report on the environmental status of global warming showed that it is happening at a quickening rate and that our response time is less than 12 years before the impact becomes irreversible. It'll be too late, we'll be stuck. So it's with this sense of urgency that we are imploring you to put climate crisis at the very top of your consideration as you plan for the city's plans and its budget. All levels of government need to put this climate emergency front and center in your decision-making process. A spokesperson from BPW shared that 35% of our city's electricity is still generated from carbon-based and carbon-polluting coal from the Campbell and Bell coal plants. We would ask, and I know you're working on this, but encourage you then to seek alternative sources of energy as a means for generating electricity in our city. We understand that it may be in your long-term plan, but we don't have time to waste. A most recently published global climate report produced by NASA, and I think they probably know what they're talking about, projects just 10 years at most to turn the tide against irreversible results. The magnitude of future of warming in the Great Lakes depends on the choices being made today, and the outcomes of your decisions will continue to have an effect for decades to come. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, 7 generations, all that. So what we do on a city level to determine can also influence the agenda for communities and governments statewide and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hey, good evening. I'm excited to be here.
Great. We just want to I want to remind you, we want your name and your address for the record, please.
Okay. Yep, my name is John Crawford. I live at 153 West 23rd Street. First of all, I wanted to thank you, council members, for Wednesday and Saturday. I enjoyed that, and you were really open to our thoughts, and it was really a good event, and I hope you continue to do that. I like living in Holland, and I believe in the future of Holland. My focus tonight is on 3 things: the economic effect of climate change, the effect of climate change on national security, and what we are currently doing about climate change in Holland and what we can do. Holland is a tourist destination. We've been featured in USA Today, Forbes magazine, Money magazine, and others. Climate change will have an economic effect on Holland. Rising water levels make our beaches less attractive. Warmer water affects the migration of fish in the fishing industry. Lack of snow affects skiing and snowmobiling. Just yesterday, ironically, the CEO of BlackRock Investment, which handles $7 trillion worth of investments, announced that they will make a move putting climate change and sustainability at the center of its investment approach. Second, climate change also affects our national security. Extreme weather, high temperatures, flooding, wildfire, soil degradation, and acidic oceans will fuel competition for natural resources. Many of our military bases are on our coasts, and destructive hurricanes do extreme damage to our bases. Example, Tyndall Air Base in Florida, under Hurricane Michael, there was $25 billion worth of damage there. The third thing, City of Holland is already doing positive things for the environment. We have a retrofit program. We have BPW, which has gone from coal to natural gas. We have good green spaces. We're bicycle friendly. We have rebates for appliances. We have money for home upgrades. We're already recognized by other communities and asked how to institute some of our programs. I encourage the City Council to once again make Holland an innovative leader. We should take the next big leap and adopt a city resolution recognizing the climate emergency with a city call to action. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to council? Oh, come right on up.
Okay, I'm Deborah Williamson. I live at 284 West 17th Street on the south side. Thank you all for your interest last week when community members spoke to you during the Coffee for Council events and about their individual concerns regarding the global climate emergency. On these bright yellow cards that you were gifted, you were asked to do 2 specific actions. One of those is being to adopt a resolution of recognition of the climate emergency accompanied by a city call of action. In my reading of yesterday's news, I read these headlines. 1, researchers find oceans are dramatically changing due to climate change. And this is just yesterday, by the way. These are all the headlines I wrote. 2, species are being wiped out at a terrifying rate. 3, John just mentioned this, BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, says it will make climate change central to investment considerations. The climate emergency is reshaping the world financial systems. 4, scientific analysis clearly shows that climate change has already greatly affected the Great Lakes region. The words dramatically, terrifying, reshaping, wiped out, make central, and greatly affected speak to the nature of the emergency of the response that's needed by all communities. City councils are directly accountable to their constituents. What cities do to address climate change can set the agenda for communities and governments in the region and more broadly in the world. Cities throughout the nation, and here in Michigan as well, have resolved to act. They have publicly and officially recognized the climate emergency and the need to rapidly reduce carbon and to develop stringent policies on land use, woodland protection, and the phasing out of fossil fuel use. They've accepted the role of regional leadership and pledged to work in partnership with regional governments, businesses, residents, community groups, educational institutions, and others to use the local region's premier expertise and the resources that are local to meet shared goals. A formal declaration of climate emergency is a critical and courageous step in addressing the climate crisis and would be the impetus for the entire community and the entire region to work together to prioritize the immediate reduction of CO2 emissions and to plan for resilience and adaptation while keeping aware of the concerns of our most vulnerable populations. Thank you for listening. I'd be glad to speak with each of you individually at another time.
Thank you, Deborah. And I do want to say to the audience, we would ask you to refrain from any applause or any expressions of support or opposition to any of the speakers. So thank you, we appreciate that. And could you please state your name and address for the record?
Hi, I'm Don Triesenberg. I live at 29 East 6th Street here in Holland. Mayor and Council, thank you for your service to our community, and thank you for listening to me tonight. My comments tonight are shaped in part by my participation in an informal collaborative, we call it, of local residents concerned about the climate crisis. Folks from Hope College, faith leaders, business owners, members of local civic groups like the League of Women Voters and the Citizens Climate Lobby, and others. I also speak as someone who helped to write and launch our community energy plan more than 10 years ago. My message tonight is simple: inviting the community to join with you in updating our community energy plan after 10 years should be one of your priorities for the year 2020. Here are some ideas that I would like to bring up if such an opportunity were presented. 3, number 1, absolute appreciation and praise for what the BPW has done in the last 10 years of the Community Energy Plan. They have created what I call an engineering roadmap to the solution of the climate crisis. A, move us to renewable energy as fast as possible. They're committed already to investing $20 million in a biodigester, $25 million into purchasing solar energy from across the state. They're anticipating the withdrawal of Bell Island and the Campbell plant coal contributions to our resource mix and replacing it with distributed renewable energy. In the meantime, they've built a wonderful, efficient new power plant using natural gas as the bridge fuel. We can't ask any more from BPW. But, number 2, we need to change this community energy plan goal. You may remember that the goal is by 2050 to get down to 10 metric tons of carbon per person per year. Who knows what 10 metric tons looks like? Right? It's a number smaller than 25 where we are now, but do you know what it looks like? I'm a science teacher, so you like to hold up examples and people. And I thought about it, and here's a metric ton. If every one of you who's sitting behind the dais would join me on a huge scale right here in the middle of the room, together, the 14 of us would be approximately 1 metric ton. All of the people who are here for the award ceremony, if they joined us on that scale, that might boost it up to 10 metric tons. And our goal is supposed to be that every citizen, every man, woman, and child in Holland can put that much CO2 per year in the atmosphere. I praise the goal of reduction, but that's not realistic. I'm a scientist. The worldwide scientific community is in complete unison. We need to set the goal down to 0 by 2040 if my grandchildren are going to be able to live the kind of life that I've enjoyed. Third and last, less than a minute. We have a great engineering roadmap because we hired great engineers. But we've got a marketing challenge. We've got to get community buy-in for electric cars and home energy retrofits and elsewhere. That's a marketing challenge, and we've given it to amateurs. We need to hire professionals just like we hire professional engineers. This is a professional marketing challenge of how we bring our community into participation. I've seen you do it with the Waterfront Holland Plan, and we need to do it at that level and above for the next 10 years to get complete community participation and buy-in. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Any other members of the audience that would like to address council? And could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Bob Ashby, 967 Songbird Lane. Two things first before I start. I would love to address the comments that were just made about climate change, the difference between that and a man-made climate change, but that's not what I'm here for tonight, so I won't. Second of all, when you get a copy of this at the top, my little date code is wrong. So if you can figure that out, it stands for the year 20, the month 1, and it should be the date for the 15th. So just in case you get it. I hope this is the right one. I have several, so. First, in honor of my friend, Pastor Houston, Pastor Ralph Houston, I think it fitting to offer a biblical observation, possibly the most important evidence of a biblical disapproval of the LGBTQ lifestyle is its complete absence of any positive mention in the Old or New Testaments. This is very significant because the Bible addresses the full spectrum of sexuality and sexual morality, both positively and negatively. If this lifestyle was to be treated as a natural part of human condition, it would be sanctioned as such. That's for Ralph. I would like to address the issues surrounding the claims of discrimination by the LGBT community. The most potent weapon of the gay rights movement has been to belittle and marginalize their opponents' sincerely held moral convictions as sexist in various forms, ignorant, or driven by fear. The reality, however, is much different. Rejection of a certain sexual behavior is not automatically a result of fear or prejudice. It is, if the lifestyle, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, lost my line. If it were, the same reasoning would apply to any other recognized moral offense, such as sexual abuse, sexual slavery, or pornography, and so forth. In addition, the effort to parallel those accusations with racism is demonstratively false. Segregation and slavery arguments are meaningless. LGBTQ are not owned, they're not sold, they don't have by condition of law or social approval. They are not relegated to separate drinking fountains or back seats on buses or separate back doors. As a matter of fact, as a group, same-sex citizens' national income averages is above, and when you have the copy, you'll see the numbers, is above the heterosexual citizens by quite a margin. Similarly, same-sex households are better educated by a good margin. Equal rights are not unlimited rights. For example, there is no right to a certain talent, or a special social status, or a level of achievement. There is no right to exercise destructive or illegal activities. I'm going to skip down a little bit. The life, liberties, and pursuit of happiness shared by all citizens are defined in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Given the absolutely essential foundation, a genuine civil right does not, ipso facto, give license to add supplemental special rights. Our Constitution guarantees, sorry, I'm looking at the light. Our Constitution guarantees civil rights simply recognize pre-existing natural rights. Sexual behavior cannot simply generate its own subset of natural rights. 3 questions. Should 2.5% to a max of 4% of the population who define themselves by their sexual attractions be allowed to create a new civil rights based on simply on their behavior? If this or a subset of the population is able to promote a new created right, should that supposed right supersede the naturally endowed right? See, I'm almost out of time. Let me see what I can. Aside from the exercise of constitutionally protected rights, free speech, and religion, no law exists which allows or promotes the persecution or discrimination of anyone based on one's private sexual behavior. In this age of rampant political correctness, same-sex marriage, and self-imposed employer gender quotas, there is no systematic infringement of
Mr. Mayor,
rights
that's 5 minutes.
against LGBTQ community.
All right, thank you, Bob. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak to council? Going once, going twice. I'm going to close the public comment period. Moving along to item number 12, reports from boards, commissions, city offices. City Attorney, Wild Creek Manor. Is that Ron?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Back in the fall, you heard from the prospective buyer for the Wildwood Creek Manor and then adopted a resolution that designated it for a new pilot program, pilot meaning payment in lieu of taxes, which is a program to make the property exempt from normal property taxes, property being low-income property, and subject to a payment, an alternative payment. Part of the resolution called for a closing on the purchase by April 1. We like to sort of keep some kind of deadline on those things. We were contacted about a month ago, roughly, by the attorney for the buyer, who indicated that they're having a little difficulty meeting the requirements for HUD, not necessarily meeting the requirements, but timely meeting the requirements, and that they need more time before closing. And so it's proposed to amend the resolution that you had adopted simply to extend the deadline for their closing to qualify for the pilot program from April 1 of this year to September 1 of this year. And that is the date they indicate they can meet and close by.
All right, thank you. Anyone here for the project at all? It does not look like it. Anyone in the public who would like to speak to this issue? Seeing none. I will entertain a motion from council.
Motion to adopt the recommendation of extending the agreement to September 1 of 2020.
Support.
Moved by Trethewey, support by Raymond. Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Trethewey.
Just some questions, Ron. What is the downside?
Well, if they had closed by April, or if they could close by April 1, they would execute a new development agreement, new municipal services agreement with the city. The development agreement would continue the current 4% per year, 4% of shelter rents per year, payment to the city in lieu of taxes. The municipal services agreement would be a new agreement that would add on an additional amount. I believe it is around $10,000 per year in additional fees to the city to accommodate for, or to account for, municipal services provided for the facility. So this would be delayed then until next year.
But, okay, so it would not happen in 2020 anymore because of the state and everything else. We would be looking at 2021.
Exactly.
Calendar year.
And then there would be one added year on to the end of it. I think it was 37 years, 35 years total.
Okay, so no downside.
Right. Well,
Okay.
just a delay.
Delay, all right. Thank you.
Any other comments from council members? Seeing none, call for a vote. Roll call, please. Kathy?
Garcia.
Yes.
Trethewey.
Yes.
Arnshorst.
Yes.
Corbin.
Yes.
Hoekstra.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. On to item, we'll just go all the way down to 4.1E, 12E, 4.1, purchasing Public Safety Fire Division, the Pierce 100-foot mid-mount ascendant aerial platform. I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Van Beek, I believe.
Yes,
All
I'd
right.
be happy to give an introduction to this, and then also be very happy to introduce our Fire Captain, Chris Tinney, that can talk more specifics. This was something that was very thoroughly reviewed in your packet, but we also talked about it at pre-council. But as I mentioned in pre-council, when we make a purchase as a city in excess of $1.3 million, it seems like something that warrants special attention at a commission or at a council meeting and not just on the consent agenda. Let me just echo once again, though, as your city manager, the staff work that was put into this, the investigation, not just from Chief Messer and Captain Tinney, but a contingent of officers that traveled, that did a lot of homework on this, that took a look at our current aerial truck and said, okay, what were some benefits, but what were some maybe shortcomings of that truck, and really went out and made sure that we are picking the right tool for the needs that we have as a community. I couldn't give higher praise to our team that put together this recommendation before you tonight. So certainly it comes with full recommendation of myself. And please, Captain Tinney, why don't you talk a little bit more about what we're hopefully about to purchase.
Thank you. Thank you for the compliments, too. Tonight, Council Mayor, we have a proposal to ask your permission to purchase this vehicle. You'll find we're going to follow along pretty much with everything that was in the packet. This current situation we have, basically tonight's a culmination of a multi-year process of being able to explore what we need in a truck, identifying solutions. That includes some of the financial realities that Chief Messer spoke about earlier tonight in the pre-council. The situation today is we've got a 17-year-old vehicle that has some serviceability issues, some reliability issues, and most recently we've identified some issues that are really pertain to the structural integrity of the frame, which we need to address. So this is complemented, we've got this issue because this is a multi-unit type of truck. We've got an aerial device that's made in one area. We have a chassis that's made by another manufacturer. So what we did is we established a small committee of department members and staff, as city manager mentioned, with some replacement goals. That included some of the factors of reducing the weight of the vehicle, decreasing the size, increasing the maneuverability. We wanted to improve serviceability. That was a big factor, and reliability. We found that this vehicle, the current vehicle, is out of service quite a bit. That's a detriment to our ability to do our jobs in the community, and it's time to make sure that we find something that can do that work for us. We wanted some commonality with our neighboring departments, and we wanted a single source manufacturer. We thought that was very important. That would eliminate some of the challenges we're having right now with serviceability and basically maintenance as it goes. Based on the review of the research and the work that our committee did, Chief Messer and I are here tonight recommending, providing their recommendations as well as our support for that. We're recommending the replacement of our current unit with a 100-foot mid-mount aerial manufactured by Pierce Manufacturing in Appleton, Wisconsin. Pierce Manufacturing has provided vehicles to us in the past. We're quite happy with the quality they provide, and it also meets all the program objectives that we wanted to accomplish. This purchase proposal was put together through the exclusive dealer for Michigan for Pierce, Halt Fire out of Wixom, Michigan. This vehicle was priced through two group purchasing organizations, one being the Michigan Intergovernmental Trade Network, the other being the Houston-Galveston Area Council. We determined that the HGAC was able to provide this at a cost that was actually provide the product at a lower cost and greater value. Tonight we're requesting your approval to approve the purchase of this and also allow us the opportunity to look at opportunities to actually dispose or find a purchaser for our current unit.
Great, thank you. Any members of the audience that would like to speak to this recommended purchase? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion from council.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt or to support 12.E 4.1 in the purchase of a Pierce 100-foot mid-mount aerial platform fire truck as presented by staff and recommended by staff.
All right.
Support.
Moved by Corbin, support by Trethewey. Any discussion by council members? Yes, Mr. Trethewey.
Captain Tenney, just one question. And I asked you this in the pre-council meeting. The unit that we currently have is 118 feet. You're losing 18 feet. Any detriments that you see on this? Any reason why we would go shorter than what we have? Our buildings aren't getting shorter.
What we're gaining, I guess what we're reducing, we're gaining in reliability. That was a unique piece of equipment. It had an articulated, we called it a jib or an extension. It provided some up and over capabilities, some low angle capabilities. Most of our buildings in the city that are exceeding the height of that vehicle have built-in fire protection that allows us to attack that fire from the interior as opposed to resorting to manual fire protection on the exterior. Primary purpose for this vehicle, again, it is a platform. We discussed that earlier, and that platform provides evacuation capabilities that are far superior to having public or our residents escaping down a ladder. We believe the impact will be minimal. This unit does provide 20 degrees below grade, but also a 100-foot working height. Very common aerial throughout the United States. That height is probably the average height of most aerials. At that time when we purchased the Bronto Skylift, Holland was a bit unique in that.
Very good, thank you.
Any other comments or questions from council members?
No, I think people should know that this was a known need and a planned purchase, and it isn't, we didn't just absolve ourselves of fiscal responsibility and just spend all this money. We knew this would happen, and it's also involved a mutual aid as well as first respond, or what do you call that, emergency So it's not as dramatic a purchase as, it's a known and a needed item in our community. Thank you for all the work that you've done, everyone's done.
Thank you. Again, I'd like to commend our staff. A lot of work went into this, a lot of revision, making sure that we're getting a truck that we need, a truck that's not overpriced, a truck that's functional, reliable, and should serve the community for a while.
Great, thank you. Any other comments, questions from council members? Seeing none, Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Trethewey,
Yes.
Arnshorst,
Yes.
Corbin,
Yes.
Hoekstra,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Peters, Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. On to item 6.1, gifts. Could you please read the gifts for us?
The city manager's office is pleased to report the following gifts. Human Relations Department, Future Links Program, Technoco Inc., $1,500. It is recommended that these donations be accepted with appreciation, credited to the appropriate account, and an expression of gratitude be forwarded to said donors.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept with appreciation.
Moved by Trethewey. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Arnshorst. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Communications from the city manager. I have 7:59.
So if I wait 30 seconds, then I can't say anything, right? Just two quick things. One, thank you again. I think that's a major event that you just approved in purchasing of that fire aerial truck. I will just say for the record, this isn't like going down to some of our local dealers and picking up a car, right? This will take a while. So for those of you that might be wondering, this is a 10 to 11 month process before we're actually going to hopefully receive this wonderful piece of equipment to serve our community. So you're not going to see it in the 4th of July parade or in Tulip Time parade or anything this year, but we are very excited about moving forward. And just one other thing, we will have a piece of surplus equipment then at the end of this. What's really cool is we were able to bring this in under budget before we've even worried about going out and being able to sell the piece of surplus equipment at the end. So stay tuned. We're excited about this. Thank you for your trust in moving forward with that. The other thing, and I mentioned this to the mayor at dinner, and I think it's appropriate for me to at least raise with all of you as council. I received a call today from the Michigan Municipal League, MML, and I'm not sure exactly the wisdom of this nomination committee, but that was a joke. I have been asked to serve on their board to fulfill a term for the rest of this year, and typically that extends then into a 3-year term after that. It's not very large. I see the question. That's basically, it's a board that's comprised of elected officials, but also city managers from across the state. While it's definitely a time commitment, quite often it matches when we have other conferences and those types of things, or call-in ability. While I'm not looking to add things to my calendar of events, quite frankly, I do think that that's a very important connection for the city to have with the statewide organization. So I am inclined to accept that nomination, but certainly would only do so with the knowledge and general acceptance of you as council. So I present that to you. I think it's a good idea. If any of you have particular concerns, please share those with me. But otherwise, hearing nothing else, I will probably proceed with accepting that nomination later this week. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. That well-deserved nomination. And 3 of us did participate in training last night through the Michigan Municipal League. Great organization and great one for us to have a close relationship with. So thank you for being willing to add that to your already very busy calendar of events. We appreciate that. Yep. And I think the only piece of information that I wanted to put out is that we are, as City Council, going to be having our advance, which is our policy setting meeting for the year, and our goal setting meeting for the year. That's coming up on Saturday the 25th. That is a public meeting that's going to be taking place right here in City Council chambers, starting at 8 in the morning. We're here at 6 in the morning, right? Then we're getting up at 6 and we're doing calisthenics.
Calisthenics. The eating of bacon starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, though. We will have the renovations that are being worked on in the mayor manager's office complete.
Moved by Trethewey, support by Peters. All those in favor say aye. 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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much.